really glad to see that you're in something where people will see what you look like.
Oh my goodness, this face?
Yes. It's a great face.
Thank you.
As they say, you are the most famous man no one recognizes.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you.
It's so nice. I've been reading about the show. I've been following it since I first heard about it, since I got an email, and I followed along on the website and on Facebook.
Great.
Are you familiar with Red Dwarf?
Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf. It's a British sci-fi comedy. I get a lot of Red Dwarf vibes from Nobility. In other words, there's a lot of irreverent humor.
Sure.
But it seems as though you guys are going for deeper characters. More than just an over-the-top sitcom.
No, you're right.
It's a dramedy.
Yeah. It's set in space, as many good sci-fi shows should be.
Right.
On a ship. There's a lot at stake. There's an evil element fighting a good element, like any good sci-fi should have. So there's an absolutely real obstacles to overcome. But the fun part of the show for me is that this ship is piloted and staffed by a bunch of misfits, and that's where The Office comes in. Sort of, they kind of pitch it to me as it's Firefly meets The Office. So I'm like, what? I love it already. Whatever. So yeah, classic space science fiction television mixed with confessional camera interviews with everybody like they do on The Office, and personality quirks on everybody that kind of either hit and are funny or kind of miss and are uncomfortably funny, but and that's where my character comes in. I play Dr. Allard, and I am the ship's psychiatrist. So I'm the counselor of the ship. And as might happen in real life from time to time, I'm the one most in need of therapy, even though I am the doctor. Yeah. So it's been, it was so fun to crawl into this character for sure. It was written specifically for me. E.J. De La Pena, who wrote our script, called me on the phone and asked he wanted to write a character specifically for me. And so knowing me, we'd already met before on another show, but him being able to, him writing for me, he knew that I'm very huggy-touchy, and I need one very handsy, and I pet people, and I hug on them, and I make some funny noises. So he wrote Dr. Allard as a very handsy, touchy, huggy psychiatrist who might not have been hugged much when he was a kid, if at all. And he's trying to make up for lost time. So he picked, of course, the therapy profession to connect with people for the first time ever in his life. So if he has to get paid for it as a job, fine, that'll do. So it's that kind of humor, but based on a real life, sort of hurt that many people do really feel.
Yes.
So I don't want to make little of that, but at the same time, he wears it very funny. I got to be honest. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I saw in the character profiles that we've got a woman as a captain, a closeted navigator, an engineer who's an alcoholic with apparently a temper problem. First officer has been described as a hard ass, and so this question is not you personally, but your character. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. Would you be able to be described in a short burst like the rest of them? I mean, you've stated that maybe you weren't held enough as a child. Do you have any obvious quirks that are going to be like sort of a running issue, I suppose?
Even if someone does not need therapy, I try to force it onto them, whether they want it or not. And if they don't want to do it in a counseling session, I will come to their place of work and get my nose involved in places it doesn't belong. That's a flaw.
So you sound like your role is going to be perhaps more comedic than some of the others?
Yes. They all. Everyone is a strong enough personality type that you'll find humor in all of them. Yes. Mine is a strong, pathetic personality. So I do love the underdog roles, and I love that he's not comfortable in his own shoes and trying to he's looking for that hug he never got as a kid. Nothing wrong with that. I love that part.
No. Yeah. Now, you look the part, but I think this is a valid question. Will you be playing a human being?
Yes, I will. Oh, there's my banner right there. I will indeed be playing a human being psychologist. Yeah.
So, is it a relief to not have to spend a good half of a day?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. It's always I love wearing prosthetic makeups and all the characters I've been able to do because I get to play characters I could not do with my own face. Sure, of course. And so when I put on a huge makeup, I want to do it now though because it's a character that I love and want to play, and I want to invite him into my heart, and I really love him. But same thing when Mask comes off. I want the same criteria. I want it to be a character that I love and I want to invite into my heart, that I want to share space with, and time with. So yeah. But what comes with this, the ease of not having to go through 5 hours of makeup in the morning or 2 hours of makeup removal at the end of the day. When you're playing like a doctor guy with your own face and just kind of a little hair product, a little bit of powder, a little bit, go, good enough.
Sort of like a typical day.
Oh my gosh. I can go to the snack table by myself without having help. I can see things. I can pick food up with my own hands and eat it with my own mouth. It's a glorious day.
All the little advantages most of us don't realize.
They might take for granted, yes.
So, in acting in a part that obviously no prosthetics, is there any differences to the way you perform as opposed to with prosthetics on?
Oh, sure. Well, it's an exercise in throttling back. I do need to remember, okay, wait, I'm not pushing through layers of foam latex. I'm not creating a creature from another world. I'm a guy. Now every human being, every character you take on, you play from head to toe, no matter what. All of us people, we move and walk and talk and sit and stand and lunge and shriek in fear differently, right? So you still, as an actor, you want to find your character's physicality no matter what, whether it's human or not. But when it's a creature from outer space or another planet or an animal-man hybrid, there's more to investigate physically for sure. When it's a person, the subtleties have to be there, and I have to trust that the subtleties are reading on film. So that's the big difference I notice. Is like it's trust issues with myself. Like, okay, no, I have to have the confidence that the audience at home will be getting this. They'll be reading this. They don't have to read all this to get the idea.
So with the prosthetics on, is it more like, say, stage acting where the expressions and the gestures have to be a bit enhanced in order
you have to emote to the back row a little bit sometimes? Yeah. All depends on the design of the makeup. It's different in every case. Yeah. And sometimes I wear makeups where I have my own eyes. Where, it's a glued-on prosthetic comes around here, and I have my own eyeballs showing. Sometimes the eyes are out here, and they're animatronically moving around on their own, or
like Cochise, for example.
Like Cochise for Falling Skies, exactly. Now that's a good hybrid of physical, practical effects and digital after effects. I'm wearing a mask with eyes glued on out here, and I'm looking for the vents around the nose, and here, in post-production, they make the eyes move around, blink, squint, express, in conjunction and in concert with what I'm doing. So the visual after effects guys are really quite amazing at finding the subtlety and not overdoing it. It's the same company, Masters Effects. Masters Effects does my Cochise makeup design, and they also do the digital after effects. So being that it's under the same house, the same roof, they don't try to outdo their own makeup. So that's why I love them.
And they do a wonderful job.
They do. It's very subtle. You would never know it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's seamless. It really is. And I noticed that people this year have been commenting a lot about how fantastic
it's really fantastic. Right.
And it's those little subtleties that make it.
Thank you.
I think for me, the big things anyone can, I think, do well. Explosions, but it's those subtleties that really make it. And you behind the mask helps a lot.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Again, this question is because I'm a Trekkie from day one.
Okay.
I know you're an engineer.
Yes.
He used to play a navigator.
Yes, he did.
Now he's got a bit of an attitude, but I don't know if you're a Trekkie or not.
Well, I mean, I was born in 1960. There's no way to avoid being a Trekkie,
Good, yes.
The original TV series was just something that we grew up with in our era, So it was on my little TV screen. I think we tend to geek out over things that were part of our childhood that helped shape us as humans. And everything that was on TV or in movie theaters in my childhood did help shape who I am today and influenced me. And Star Trek was just like ahead of its time. It was like, it was the first space drama that happened with, that I remember anyway. People on a spaceship in a land far, far away in the future, and they can go at hyperspace speed, and there's alien beings, and there's other races that we've never heard of before, and a lot of humanity being exposed through fantastical storytelling.
Exactly.
Yeah. So meeting Walter Koenig as our ship's engineer, I had met him before socially, but this is my first time working with him, and just a dream. I don't geek out over a lot of people, but it's the childhood influencers that absolutely I can't help but my fumble and stutter around because I'm just such a big fan of his. Yeah.
That answered my next and last question was, did you have a fanboy moment with Walter Koenig?
Every day I see him, yes, absolutely, yeah. I can't help. And when you meet Walter too, he settles you down immediately because he's so gracious, so kind, and so hilariously funny.
Really?
You get a chance to talk to him, he's just drop dead funny.
I would love to meet him. I have only had the good fortune to meet Michelle Nichols of the original cast. I would love to meet more.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that's great to know. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And I really look forward to seeing Nobility.
So do I. I can't wait to see when we have the show.
Thank you for taking the time.
No, thank you for taking the time for me too.